Hi, so welcome to Motherhood Unplugged 2.0 Summit. The interview today is actually me. So I'm going to welcome you to the summit and explain what it's about, but B, I'm also going to run the interview myself. So it's kind of a little bit of a monologue. So the reason for Motherhood Unplugged 2.0, if you didn't know yet, is basically 5 years worth of my research, 5 years worth of understanding what makes adults successful later on in life, and success not being as in the rat race of, are you now a vice president or now are you now a CEO? Success actually being satisfaction with life, our future children's happiness. How cool is that to know that actually it's about our happiness in life later on? Secondly, also about our cognitive ability, about our leadership ability, about our gravitas, our persistence. And so that's basically what I studied. And I looked at what are the environmental factors in childhood that impact that. And at a high level, two fundamental things, one being parental attachment and the other being sense making. So parental attachment, the kind of care and love that your father and your mother give you, and sense making, the types of activities that you expose your children to, that you play with your children. So play. Learning through play. And when you cross correlate those and you find out how enriching what you're doing with your kids, who's doing them with your kids, how much care, how much protection as a parent, as a mother, as a father you're giving, and you find out actually how much influence the mother has over our future children's happiness. That's pretty wow. Okay, what do I then do with that? Because then also working with mums, how much time we have, how many barriers there are in society because of the policies that we have, particularly, for example, in Switzerland, where you only get 3 months paternity leave, where your children come home for a home-cooked dinner. And even then in many countries as well, around the flexibility that we have, around the time that we have. So many of these enabling factors bringing powerful influencers and mothers together is the purpose of this summit, to be the movement for change that gives mums more health, more happiness and more time in their day. That's my quest. That's my mission. So why am I interviewing me? Well, A, because of my research and because of my expertise. B, I've also become an influencer and a founder in tech. So I have founded an app on both iPhone and Android to automate a lot of the chores that we have as mums. I work with mothers looking at what would it help to automate? Where could I help you in terms of time or organization? Because we know, right, everyone else is taking up our brain space. And so that's why I'm interviewing myself today. I'm going to go through the same questions as everyone else did and put myself through the paces. So what do I love most about being a mum? I wanted to be a mum from day zero. My mum always knew that, but unfortunately I went through many messy situations with the men that almost thought, okay, why don't I just become a nun? So it was about meeting the right person for me. When I finally became a mum, the overwhelming love after a 64-hour birth, just the tears that came. And even with the second, I thought, can I love them enough? And there's just this unconditional love that you have for your child. Seeing life through that other lens and being able to share that with them and being able to inspire them. I mean, there are moments of complete laughter where the imagination that they have because is there going to be a tiger in the restaurant, on holiday? But pure imagination and showing them new things from the first moment that they see snow, that they saw snow in Switzerland. And I certainly want to keep doing that. And we're traveling around the world next year. So I love most about being mum is they allow you to discover more about yourself, but also what you can share them. They are the future. Yeah, we're only on this earth for a certain amount of time, and you can really impact the world more, and hopefully they do a better job than we do because, hey, we're messing up pretty much a lot sometimes in the environment and other issues. How many kids do I have? I have two beautiful children. I'm so blessed and lucky. I have a girl and a boy. how would you define yourself since being a mum? Well, I think just through me speaking, you can see that my world pretty much changed and rocked itself. I was very career driven. It was all about career. Went to uni, climbed the corporate ladder, director, going up. Now, frankly, I don't give a crap. Even in my role, I have a number of different roles. And I remember the CEO of my division coming in on the second day saying, when are you looking to get promoted? I was like, well, I don't really want promotion. I don't really care about that. That's not what drives me. What drives me is purpose. What drives me is making a difference. What drives me is passion for making the world a better place, because my kids are growing up in that. I want to make an impact. And I think that became more focused after giving birth. Of course, I've always want to make a difference, but really I stopped focusing my energy so much on, those things, but what were the things that mattered? What were the things that really going to make a difference? So hopefully that makes sense. What challenges did or do you face? Gosh, anyone that knows me will know that I actually faced so many, even before having kids. I moved to Switzerland for me, and like I said, I almost was going to become a nun. I met my husband, or now husband, and I didn't have a job, and it was very hard to get a job in Switzerland. Obviously you can see I'm black, I'm female. I didn't have no German at that point. I do now. And it was tough because I almost went home to England. Getting a job was probably quite hard, and facing the resistance and just being brave. But I knew I had to do it for my daughter. For me, I was a stay-at-home mum for a while, but for me, I knew that I wanted to live this life of purpose. I knew that I wanted to use my brain. I'd had my degree and my master's. So the first challenge, I wouldn't say the biggest, the first challenge was actually being a working mum in a society where mothers are not supported to work. You have to, your kids finish school at 11 o'clock. You drop them there at 8:20. So can you find a job that maybe starts at 9 to 11? So finding a job that's flexible, I am so grateful that I could do that. I've always been really good with time. Actually, my environment that I grew up in, from the age of 9, I helped my parents with their business and manage that. So I was always kind of very good at multitasking, but I will still say time can have its challenges. For me, the biggest thing has been letting go of it being okay to have an au pair and now a nanny, because my kids finished school at 11. So I would say it was actually also my mindset and giving me permission to be able to accept help. And actually that's the only way that you survive in Switzerland, is it's okay. Yes, whilst my mum did it all, this generation unplugged, things are different. Society is different. Women are more educated today than in the past. 57% in the US are college educated, for 54% in the EU are through tertiary education. We have so many brains, so much impact that we can make on the world, but lots of other things have not changed in terms of policy, in terms of work, in terms of mindset or cultures within companies, and that really is something that has to change. But there's challenges certainly that I have faced. What changed? The biggest thing for me, probably about a year ago now, and so some things have been incremental, so I'm only going to talk about a transformational change. My boss said to me, so I moved roles, and she said to me, just bring your whole brand. And I said, but if I bring my brand, you're going to get a hold of me. And I'm doing my doctorate. I've got all of this. She said, that's okay. You have to be brave enough to do it. And actually bringing you will be more powerful. So I thought about that. And I thought, what if I always compartmentalized my life? So there's a mummy me, there's a corporate me, there was a doctorate me researching. There was like these three factors, and even four. There was the family, partner, friendship me. Gosh, what if I can make them whole? What if I can make all those sectors whole, but make them more powerful with purpose? And if anything, that's made everything that I do in the corporate world more powerful, because I have just brought all of that to make really powerful stuff in my corporate world. The doctorate I just powerballed through. I actually had to postpone my doctorate twice because of the corporate world though, which was tough, but I wanted to make sure that I was, delivering. But I powered through the doctorate. So everything came together. So having permission, or giving myself permission to be brand me, has been very powerful. That's really what changed and got me to yesterday. We launched the Apple apps. We had already launched just at the weekend in the full moon. We'd launched the Android, but getting to that point of being able to flick the switch for everything. What changed? I decided to be whole. I decided to look at my life not just as these compartmentalized pieces, because we don't act like that, but everything. I started to align in my life in terms of having the nanny, in terms of having the doctorate, in terms of being the unit that I am with my husband. I brought the full power of me into one whole circle. What opportunities did you grab? Well, I grabbed the doctorate for one. I remember sitting down with my husband. At the time, we lived in a tiny, tiny, tiny flat, which you couldn't swing a cat in. And I said, honey, I think I really want to study a doctorate. And he's Danish, and his Danish humour said, you never stop wanting to learn, do you? And I said, is that a bad thing? So we kind of laughed, but I put a proposition to him, because if anything, we take anything major in our lives, of course that takes time. And I wanted to make sure he was on board with that, because it was going to take time away for our family. And anyway, he backed me. And I would say the doctorate was one of the most amazing things that I've done. Been in Switzerland almost 10 years now, and it took 5 years to do it. But wow, really just my brain thinking. And in a doctorate you can study, what really are you passionate about, my dean said, although he did say, what I'm studying is, quite complex. I'm like, okay, that's fine for me. I do complex. I want to solve real problems that are going to make a difference. So the first opportunity was the doctorate. The second opportunity is sometimes just being fearless. I didn't quite know what path it was going to take me on, but my corporate world, I went for a cup of tea, and it was like, oh, when can you start and what's the job? And I more now I go with people. I go with my gut, and I go with people in the opportunities that will lead to. So I do very much. I remember interviewing Holly Homer, and we talked about following the process. You never know where it's going to lead you. And I think sometimes you don't. Oh, I am type A, so I'm quite goal driven. I have this goal to save 1 million mums time. But I started to look at opportunities to follow let my passion lead me. It was actually something that Holly says, and that really resonated with me. Other opportunities, so it was the doctorate, following my passion, and opportunities to speak and different things. Recently, yes, yeah, of course. I'll do that. See whether it takes me, see whether it grows me, and just be fearless, be brave, be fearless. Gosh, if I can take a baby came out of my vagina after 64 hours, I can pretty much do anything. So be really brave in terms of what you're doing. What tools or advice have you found useful? I Skype my mum every day. Pretty much the connection and my family is really important to me, because we do not live in a country where we have our family around us. Blood family. I'll come on to what I think the other tools I think are useful. So I Skype my mum every day. I do believe that it takes a village to raise your child. So building that village, even if you live thousands of miles away from your family, it's going to take more than you. So how do you build that village? And I know time is short, but how do you build that system, for your children? I didn't read lots of books, actually, so I do get when people say, oh, you can go and read lots of books. I didn't read lots of books. Gina Ford, though, was something that I did do. I did do the sleep routine. And my child, yes, you're probably going to hate me, my child slept pretty much from day dot. And they've both been so contented. And that has enabled me to live a pretty much full-on life, getting full sleep at night and being able to work and do what I do, in the day. So Gina Ford, definitely having the connection with the people that matter. So with me, it's my mum. We have date nights. I have date night with my husband and key friends. And that can be challenging. And then really surrounding yourself with a village. For any expats out there, the other thing I would say is, my kids speak 4 languages, really having your own language with your child. So my husband speaks Danish to our children. I learnt German, so we have German nights, or we have German book reading, and English. So and there's Swiss German as well. So I think for any bilingual families out there, sticking with it, because it can be hard, and I think it was especially hard for my husband. But being there and saying, look, okay, your language with them is Danish, and they do eventually. They learn a little bit slower, but they do eventually catch up. So that would be my tools and useful advice. Of course, the tool to automate your life, which is the app. So you're automating your calendar, you're automating your to-do list, you're automating your shopping list, soon to be going through to actually doing your shopping, automating your events, your entertainment, all of that, taking that weight off of you and accepting that help, be it from a tool or be it from a person, is something fundamentally that I believe in, because we shouldn't, taking everything on us, motherhood today, with everything going on, take the help and take the tools. What's your focus now? So my focus now, the past 5 years, has been the research, really understanding that. Launched the app. My focus now is to really grow what I'm doing for mums. And I think you can launch, but we haven't even touched the surface, because actually already I've got some amazing feedback from mums, which is, can you also do this with that? So I'm really working with mums to change their world, to grow more functionality. And I will say that, I am a mum who has launched an app, and that was hard. I stood up there were 15, I went to an event in Zurich. There were 15 people, 14 old grey men and 1 woman. And when I pitched the app and I said, we're going to save busy mums time, they were like, why would you, I don't get it. Why would you want to do that? And I felt like saying, please ask your wife. And I had to remember what society I'm in. And it was very conservative here, that the woman's place is in the home. So it's been tough. So obviously what we've done is we have, in my focus, phase 1, I focused really to getting the sizable chunk of what's there out. In phase 2, there's a lot more coming the way. So my focus is actually phase 2. And in phase 2, we've got some super stuff coming for mums, which is really going to change their life and enrich their life in terms of the time that they have with their children. My other focus is we're going to go traveling. I'm 40 next year, so 40 days around the world. I really want to have that presence with my children. I want to show them the different cultures, show them the other side. I do feel growing in Switzerland, they're quite privileged. And I do try to show them the other side of life, but showing that in different countries, I think will pretty much be the best way to experience that and expose them to life in many languages, in many countries, in many colours and many flavours or that they have. And there's a few other things along the way. Let's see. Let's hope you follow me along the journey. What would stop you, or do you know, or that needs to happen to make it happen? So I have a phrase that I learned from my dad, which is no such word as can't. I don't even think that I would have thought that a mum, little old me, could even launch an app, because I really, I solution architect anyway, but I really had to work with developers and development teams, and that has pretty much been amazing. But there's always a way around it. So nothing is going to stop me. Nothing. There's a way around, and I'm going to give it my best, work mega loads to basically serve the community that I've built, to serve the mums with the time that they deserve to have for their children. What experiences do you want your kids to have that grow them? So I think I've already mentioned the travel. Other experiences, chores. They do chores at the moment, and then they're 4 and 6, my son and daughter, but I really want them to grow more and more responsibilities. So for example, at the moment, after dinner, even though we have, nanny, and we have support at home, they clear the table, put the plates in the dishwasher, they do different things like that. But as they get older now, it's building more of those chores in, because from the age of 9, I was cooking roast dinner on every Sunday. I was cleaning. We had 7 guest rooms in their guest house. I did not grow up having a privileged life, and I think what's really challenging is, whilst I've worked really hard and done really well for myself, how can I give my kids that experience? Yeah, life is tough. Life is hard. It's not always full of highs. It's not always, you have to really work for something. You really have to work hard. It may have its challenges. When you do now, I'm in a privileged position. I want to make sure that my kids understand that and they see that as well. And that's probably the biggest challenge that I have as the next generation. When my parents came from small islands to England, they came with nothing. My mum was chucked out on the street. So my mum had a hard life. And so it was tough for them, and they gave me everything that they could. But that was, love and made sure I had an education. Now, how do I give that to my children, that sense of being grounded? Being grounded. What is the one thing you would want pregnant you to know before becoming a mum? Oh gosh. So the first time round, I actually did lots of yoga. I actually was teaching yoga on the day that I gave birth. And I went into labour, and it was 64 hours of no sleep, being shoved like a cow, pushing. And I had always said to my husband, whatever you need to do to get her out safe, do it. Her heart stopped at one time, and they had to go and revive. Probably not do so much. I had such huge pain. Probably take it a little bit easier in the yoga going along, because my tummy muscles are so strong. The second time was like 5 hours of giving birth, so that was really interesting. But the second time we got into the hospital, and they had no drugs. So maybe when you move canton or district or whatever, check what the hospital. I just assumed that every hospital was the same in Switzerland. And I remember looking at my husband and I was like, oh yeah, when can I have Castaner, or no, we don't do that, right? Okay. They did have this one thing that they could just give you slightly before, to take the edge off before giving birth. And I just looked at my husband and I did say, what the F? And we just said, oh, it's too late now, and I went with it. And actually it was fine. I rode through the pain. But in terms of later on in life, what would you tell the one pregnant you? So I would say my mum was right. There was never a perfect time to have a child. And just go for it, because, we don't get any younger. Just go for it. And you will have enough love. They actually don't cost that much. There's the food and the XYZ, and, if I still being a stay-at-home mum, I would have done that. Luckily, I've been able to enter the workplace and have my own business, but they are worth everything. So your mum was right. My mum was right. There is never a perfect time to have a child if you want children. And then what am I working on that excites me that I can share with you? So you are my whole reason for being. I have been engaging with many of you over the last couple of years. We'll see, we're now at 10,000 Twitter, 3,000 Instagram. I've been working with you on developing everything. So my major thank you is, well, there's 3 levels to the app. There's a standard, and then we go up to premium. But I am gifting you a year free of the app. So there's a promo code. I'm not putting it out publicly because this is to thank people in my tribe, in my community that have helped me develop from saying, well, this is the functionality that I want, through to them prioritizing that and the different pieces and you guys testing when it was in production. My thank you to you is a promo code that you can find on the tools and gifts that gives you the app for the year. After that, you can cancel, anytime, you want, or you can cancel if you don't like it. Be a part of the journey. See what it can give you. If you're struggling in time, be a part of the journey to let us help you, give you more time. And go and grab the promo code. And if you at all want to connect to me, ask me any questions, you're more than happy to do so. Join the community. And I did this for my children, but I also did this for the other mums. And that pretty much is the end of my interview. And thank you very much.